Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today? We're going to be starting in about 6 minutes. Do me a favor, and if you could put in chat if you can hear me okay and if everything looks all right before we get going. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Thank you, everyone, for saying you can hear me. Picture of a beach. Yes, it is a picture of a beach. I'm switching that over. There we go. Right now, you should say reinvent your meetings. And if you're confused as to why the topic is reinvent your meetings, we accidentally sent out, yeah, so forgive me, it's all my fault. We sent out the same email in regard from our last month's reinvent webinar. So if you're here right now thinking you're here for the workforce reinvent, I have that recording. Just go ahead and send me an email and I will send it to you. My email is info@childcarebiz.help.com. I'll put that in chat. I can get that over to you, but today we're going to be talking about meetings, and I think I've got a really fun way of approaching your meetings. So we'll get started pretty soon, in about 4 minutes. I can't believe this is the 7th topic that we've done this year. It's already July. Time is just literally slipping away and summer is disappearing, which is super sad. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes. Meetings, meetings. Hopefully everyone has their lunch. Multitasking. Eating and learning at the same time. All right, we'll get started in less than a minute. I think Gunny has come up to join us. Gunny's here to train with us today. If you haven't met Gunny, that's my dog. He is a part of our team. But we're going to get started. So welcome to today's Reinvent webinar. And we are going to be talking about reinventing your meeting. So like I had mentioned at the start, oh, I think I hear Justina. Come on in, Justina. Hello, Justina's here. Oh, you only saw her bottom half. For those that who don't know Justina, she is our marketing director, my partner. She's amazing. She's been with Child Care Biz Help now for a year. I'm Caroline Jens. We're going to dive into this topic because we only have 30 minutes. We're reinventing our meetings today, and hopefully by the time that you're done, I'm going to give you some really great tools, if you stay around to the end, that you can actually start using right in your child care center. So let's move on. So again, this is Child Care Biz Help, and we have a really small team. We started about 3 years ago, for those of you who do not know who we are. And I'm Caroline Jens, and again, that was Justina that came in, and Mr. Gunny's always here. We've got 2 other employees that just started with us, one that handles our our innovation and automation and all that technology stuff that usually is like way above us. And then Maddie, who's our most recent, she's doing a lot of video for us. So we are really excited we are all past child care people. We've been in your industry, and now we help child care centers all over the US. So today's topic, I found this really funny quote. Has anyone ever said, I wish I could go to more meetings today? You know, who really says that? And I'm sure this is how you feel, or not how you feel, and I'm sure that's not how your staff feels. You know, as soon as that dreaded, oh, we need to have a staff meeting, or oh, we need to meet again, there's this immediate feeling of just, you already feel bogged down with what you're going to learn or not learn, or the time that you have to allocate toward it. Or if you're like me, when I go to meetings, I usually end up having a to-do list that's like triple what I started with. So I don't like to go to meetings just because I know it means I have more on my plate. This was an interesting statistic. It says there are about 11 million meetings taking place in America every day, and about a third of them are unproductive. Is your center one of those centers that are part of that statistic of being unproductive? That stat suggests that while we have a ton of meetings, we're just not great at them. So I'd like you just to reflect before we get started, and just take a minute and think about both the meetings that you attend and the meetings that you run. Do you feel, again, like the life is sucked out of you during meetings? Again, are they just platforms that make your to-do list longer? And what do your employees feel like when they're going to meetings? So if you really just kind of reflect on why you're attending today, and you know what people feel at your organization when they hear the word meeting, I think that'll help as we progress. And so this year we've been focusing on different ways to reinvent childcare, and I really believe that meetings are a critical way that you can improve how your childcare center runs. It can help improve the health of your culture, and it can even make your employees feel really valued. Or it can make them feel not valued. So we have to be really careful with meetings. And so ultimately, when we reinvent meetings, we are going to change the way that we feel and how our employees feel about meetings. So today's challenge, or our mission today, we're going to do 3 things. We're going to learn how to be intentional with our meetings. We're going to learn how to get a little more organized. And then we're going to inspire our team rather than discourage them. So we're going to talk about 3 different types of meetings. When I say the word meetings, I would characterize you're probably having 3 different types outside of parent meetings. So that was one thing I didn't get to touch on in today's, because honestly, we have 30 minutes and I wanted to focus on your staff first. So if you're interested in having a session on having really great meetings with your families and your parents, let me know and I can definitely get one scheduled. But we're going to talk about your staff meetings, leadership meetings, and one-on-one meetings. Those are the 3 different ones that we're going to focus on today. So I'd like to kick today off with a poll, and bear with me as I navigate my technology so I can learn how to put my poll up here. All right, so find poll number. Okay, so today's first poll is, what is the #1 problem with your meetings? So we've got a couple of answers. Boring, the information is scattered, they're a waste of time, there's no ground rules, the loud people win, if you know what I'm talking about. There's always those loud people that are taking over and hijacking our meetings. Maybe the information doesn't pertain to everyone. Have you ever had meetings where it's just constant side talk, during your meeting? Or the meetings are just too time consuming? So go ahead, and I see a lot of you are already voting. So I'll just give it a minute and let you go ahead. This gives me a really good perspective on what you're currently experiencing in your child care center. I'll just give you a couple more seconds. Oh, great. So I'm going to launch this here. So as you can see, the majority, well, there's not a huge majority, but side talk that occurs during the meeting, that is a really big problem. And actually, I'm going to show you a video that is a really good demonstration of this side talk that occurs during meetings. So we're going to get into that. But today we're going to talk about ways, everything that you've mentioned here in our poll are things that we're going to talk about. So that's really great that we're on the same page for sure. So I'd like to share this video with you. And if anyone knows of The Office, I am a big fan of The Office. And so I'd like to play this video for you, and hopefully you can hear it. So just take a peek at their meeting that they have with Michael Scott.
Thing goes for quarterly reports. They are unreadable. They're just numbers and boring and blah. So what I was thinking is that maybe we should have some sort of graphic, like if we have a bad quarter, put in a storm cloud. And when we have a good quarter, fireworks or a race car. Doesn't have to be a race car. Use your imagination.
There's this cube on the screen. It bounces around all day, and sometimes it looks like it's heading right into the corner of the screen, and at the last minute hits a wall and bounces away. We're all just dying to see it go right into the corner. Pam claims that she saw it one day when she was alone in the conference room. Not good.
Oops.
I believe she thinks she saw it.
I saw it. I saw it, and it was amazing. Who said I didn't see it? Did Jim say that I didn't see it? I saw it.
We have a lot of colored paper here. Why do we keep printing this on white?
Yeah, come on!
Yeah, I know. It's bland.
It's never gonna happen.
Here's what I'm saying, you gotta believe.
Maybe we could have some sort of riddle, like something that you have to look for. Sort of a Where's Waldo? All right. Let's quit while we're ahead.
All right, let me get switched back over here. Bear with me. This is the first time I've really tried to go back and forth like this, and it's not as easy as you would think. Great. Wonderful. So I hope you can see my screen. So a lot of us, like I said, meetings are boring, information is scattered, it's a waste of time, no ground rules, loud people win, information doesn't pertain to everyone, there's side talk and time is consuming. And a lot of you had mentioned about that side talk. And I played this clip because a couple of reasons. So Michael Scott, who's the manager, is speaking on a topic that, I don't know, seems boring. He's just monotone. It's, the information that he's talking about is scattered. He's not confident in the information that he's talking about. He's kind of letting other people control his meeting. And he's really not in tune to the people that he's speaking to. So they're off kind of having they're creating their own meeting. And he's not even aware of the fact that they're not engaged and they're not getting anything out of what he's saying. So there's this side talk that's happening. They're more interested in that logo bouncing into the corner of the TV, right? Then they are paying attention to the speaker. And I know a lot of you probably feel the same way when you've got teachers in the background, everyone's on their cell phones, they're having conversations, they're not looking up at you. So when you're running a meeting, you feel like you're talking to a wall. And that can be really frustrating. And then the final thing about this video that I thought was really interesting is that there is that lack of respect at the end where they just got up and left before the meeting was done. It wasn't like he had said, thanks for coming to today's meeting. Here's what the action plan is. There were no ground rules. Like, they just made a decision that they were done with the meeting and they just got up. So I'm sure we've all experienced meetings, not this bad, I would hope, but that have characteristics of what Michael Scott just went through. And so how do we improve so that we don't have one of those Michael Scott type meetings? So we're going to start by looking at our staff meetings. So I work with several clients that structure their staff meetings a certain way that can bring value on all kinds of different levels. So when you construct a staff meeting appropriately, hitting various points, you're going to bring value to the kids that you are in your care, to your employees, to yourself if you're the center director, and the overall company. So I'm going to get into really how you can do that. And this is one of those things that I'm going to share with you as a tool at the end. I will send this out with you. The sample agenda on staff meetings. So let me pull that up. Okay, so if you can see here, a really great way to structure your staff meeting is to start with the company vision, talk about living those values that those core values that you have put in place that you don't ever talk about. How are you living those values? What is the state of the company? What is those need to know things like those housekeeping items? And then a learning capsule, and we'll get into what that is. and then some team building and collaboration, and then we're going to end with action. So I'm going to actually give you this. This is a sample. This is a sample that I've created that you can actually take in and use in your staff meetings. And so what I always like to do is start the staff meeting with the company vision. So whether you're the owner or the executive director or the director, if you're running a staff meeting, it's really important to remind at the beginning of the meeting what your bigger purpose is. Like, why are you here? What is driving your company's values? And trying to do this in a fun way. So, you know, we don't like to just hear, this is our vision and here's our core values, but how can we make that a little more interactive? So some examples, you know, having some quizzing. So if you could do any type of quizzes on your values, on your mission, any types of games or fun interactive ways that you can incorporate that. I have a couple examples here. You'll see maybe one of your core values is being community minded. And if that's the case, if you want to focus on one of your core values, consider having your team brainstorm on different ways that you can impact the community. You know, whether that's by raising funds in your center or volunteering outside the community. But you're spending time as the visionary of your company talking about one specific value that's really important to your company, and you're allowing the team to help brainstorm in a fun way on how to live that value. Another way would be to break into small groups and have people make posters that visually represent your core values. You know, so what does love mean? What does respect mean? What does that look in a visual aspect? And then have people get up in their small groups and present their poster and explain it. So it's always, I always love, however you're going to do it at the start of your staff meeting, always bringing back that main purpose of why you do what you do. That is the best way to start your meeting. And then secondly, it's about living the values. So we can't appreciate everyone every month all the time. So if you just appreciate one person a month, you know, they're not the employee of the month, but you're just going to demonstrate or communicate how they demonstrated one of your core values during the course of the month. So you're going to point out that if one of your core values is collaboration, and you witnessed Jill and Susie really taking time together to work together on maybe changing some lesson plans in your 2-year-old classrooms. Maybe you could recognize, you know, so-and-so, I've witnessed them living the values, so I just want to give them a hand. So again, we're starting with the main vision and values, and then we're going to identify and call out on a positive note some people that have been living the values. And then every month, people are going to want to be that person that gets called out, saying that they have lived the values. And then there's the state of the company. Now here is about, I always liked when I ran my staff meetings, making sure everyone had a really clear picture of where the company is at. And that's not just financials, but it is going to include metrics. So whatever, you know, metrics you want to give them, I would encourage giving enrollment metrics or the number of employees that you need to hire, survey feedback that maybe you got. You know, we're big on monitoring raving fans. So how many raving fans have you created? So taking a look back, the last 30 days or whenever your last meeting was, and saying, you know, here's what happened. Here's some real successes that we had. You know, here's some numbers that show those successes or failures, because let's be honest, we're not always going to have successes, right? Here's where we're at and here's where we're going. You know, over until our next staff meeting, here's what we're going to be concentrating on. You know, we need infant enrollment. What can we do as a team to work together to get more infants in our center? And I have a couple customers right now that are in need of enrollment. And so they're working with their team to brainstorm. They're being open about the fact that they need pre-K enrollment in fall. So this is a really great platform to bring that up as part of your state of the company. And then you get into the need to know. And again, the need to know is kind of like those housekeeping items that you have to kind of go over every month. Like the lunchroom hasn't been cleaned, or remember to label your food, or we're going to have an after school event, here's the specifics on it, here's what you should wear, so that need to know stuff. And then we're going to bring it around again, and we're going to do some kind of learning capsule. And basically, I always love to incorporate some type of learning in our staff meetings. So again, that's about bringing value to not only your employees, but also the children in your care. So if your employees are always continuously learning, this is a really great point to where you can have some type of educational. So whether you're learning on your accreditation, whether you're having a staff member, it doesn't always have to be you. It doesn't always have to be an outside person that comes in and does the training. It could be one of your teachers doing a training. That way you're engaging your staff to help you train your staff. So I always love to incorporate some kind of learning in my staff meeting. And then team building. Whatever small activity you can do to get people working together, collaborating or team building, something fun. It doesn't always have to be fun, but it could be collaborative to where they're tackling. I remember one time we were talking about our playground and how to best organize, because we were going to redo our playground. So we really spent a lot of time collaborating in our staff meeting about what were people's ideas, about how we could best, with the least amount of funds, redo our playground. So that collaborating was really great to do during our staff meeting. And then end with action. So after you've gone through all this stuff, how can you tie back why you did that team building or collaborating activity? Don't just have it and then not have conversation about why you did it. Tie it back to your vision. List action steps that need to take place to move your company forward. So when you did talk about that state of the company, you talked about goals until your next staff meeting. Are there specific action items that you want to see your staff do? And then again, remind them of where your company is headed. So I always, reiterate our mission again at the end. I'm always smiling and enthusiastic. And yeah, sometimes it can get exhausting because maybe you need to hire 8 teachers. But you really need to step above that and try to keep people enthusiastic so that when they leave that meeting, they actually feel energized and not like they just got a huge, like they just wasted an hour and a half of their life, or that meeting had nothing to do with them. When you align what you're learning to the core values of your company and to the vision of your company, it pertains to everyone. It doesn't just pertain to one person. So that is the staff meeting agenda that I will share with you if you want to follow it. The next we're going to talk about is, let's see here, share. Lots of moving around. Okay, so now our leadership meetings. So I don't know how big of a childcare center you have, but you should be having regular leadership meetings. Now, if it's just you running the company and you're the director, you're everything, I want to encourage you, the template that I'm going to show you, you can use that just more so as a checklist for you, because you need to be holding yourself accountable. So whether you have a group of people that you're meeting with or you're holding yourself accountable, leadership meetings are very important that you should be having on a regular monthly basis at a minimum. And so I'm going to go ahead and share that with you. Great. So with an executive level meeting, if you've ever heard of Traction, the book Traction, this meeting structure comes from that. And so Traction starts off with making sure that you have really productive, fast meetings, because again, we don't want to spend hours and hours in meetings. So it's really intentional with the agenda and with the things that you're going to talk about. So it always starts with something positive. So giving a personal and a professional success, like just 5 minutes going around the table, what were one personal success and one professional success. And that, again, starts off your meeting on a positive note. And then secondly, you're going to get into the pulse of the business. So the pulse of the business are those things that are going to allow an owner or a leader to sleep at night. You know, so it's those metrics that they keep track of so that they know the health of the company. And then we're going to talk about company goals. So there's the overall company goals of what you want to achieve for the year or for the quarter that you're going to revisit every time that you have a leadership meeting. And then from those, what are your to-dos? Like, what is everyone's to-dos? How are we going to report on those? And then cascade. Is there anything that we talked about in this meeting, in this executive level leadership meeting, that we need to cascade down to anyone else in our staff? Which is really important because oftentimes we have these meetings with ourselves and then we don't pass that information along to our teams. So we're running out of time today, but we're going to dive quick. We're almost done. This is an example of the actual agenda that I will share with you again. So starting 5 minutes on your personal and professional successes of the week, the pulse of the business. So again, this lets you sleep at night. Do you have metrics that you need to go over? You know, we always went over our enrollment. We always went over our rosters. We went over our past due accounts. We went over any type of recruitment needs that we had. And then we had a center scorecard. So basically we scored our centers and basically on various point system on how they're doing. So depending on if you have one location or, you know, or 10 or 20 or whatever, you could have a really clear picture of what's going on in the center. And then we went over company goals and our to-dos. And then we listed our cascade. So every month or every week, we would copy the same agenda and type in here and use this on a weekly basis. So again, I'm going to share this with you, but I encourage you when you're doing leadership meetings, the most important thing of that is already have everything planned out. Use the same agenda every time. Be respectful of time. Get started right away. Make sure people aren't on their cell phones, don't have their computers, you know, and watch the side talk. You know, just get to business, and then make sure you're celebrating wins to make it so that you remember those good things that you're doing, so that when you are going over all these to-do list items, you're not just bogged down by everything that needs to get done. And then next, we're going to talk about our one-on-one meetings. So the dreaded one-on-ones, these can be either huge successes or huge failures. So I don't know if you've ever promised people that you're going to do one-on-ones with them and then you never get to it, or you're constantly canceling those meetings. It can get really frustrating. I know a lot of people that have left companies because they're like, my boss keeps telling me we're going to have one-on-ones and we never do, and I don't feel valued. Or you have one-on-ones and it's just a griping session. So there's a really, there's a structure that you can do in your one-on-ones so that they don't go off track. And I'm going to quick share that with you. Again, I will share this with you so that you'll be able to go ahead and use it right in your company. So a really simple agenda for your one-on-one meetings are to do quick updates. You want to have trust-building conversations, and we'll get into that real quick. And then you want to open the floor. And so, pull this, make it a little bigger for you. So since employee development is a year-round priority that impacts retention, engagement, and results, any tool in your arsenal to keep these conversations front and center are a must. That's why one-on-ones are really, really great, because you're not just waiting to that review. You know, you're constantly having those conversations, so nothing's a surprise. But not to mention that is that you want to use these one-on-ones to bring value to that employee, to engage that employee, to make them feel like they're a part of the team. So the first thing that you have to do is have the right mindset when you go into one-on-ones. Don't feel like you don't have time to spend with your employees. It's all about prioritization, right? We prioritize what we really want to do. for the last couple weeks, I haven't gone to the gym because I kept telling myself I was too busy. And that's just a lie because if I really put it on my calendar, I would go, right? So having a consistent day, week, and time for your meetings, for your one-on-ones is going to help you prioritize that. And so here's my quick agenda. So my suggestion is you have quick updates. So you know what needed to happen after your last meeting. So start the meeting, just here's quick updates. You both give your updates of, you know, really important bullet point things that need to get answered. Like, is it okay if we do this? Hey, we have this marketing strategy that we want to try. The teachers are wondering if we can relook at benefits. So it's these like really quick updates. But the most important is the second one, which is the trust building conversations. So divert this exhausting part of the agenda to asking that person that's across the table from you, you know, what invigorated you this week or this month? Could you imagine someone asking you that? And why do you want to ask that as a boss? You want to know, did your employee do anything that really made them passionate? Did something that they love? And so maybe that's something that you can have them realize, like, oh, you know what? I really did love training. I really did love coaching. I really did love going to do this, you know? And so you're bringing value to them. And then you can continue to use those passions and talents as you continue to help develop that employee. So another thing is, like, did you experience anything that you would like to continue doing? Did you do anything that maybe was out of the normal and you would love to keep doing it? You know, maybe they had to go work at another location and they found out they really love working there. You know, this would be the kind of, this would be the time where that kind of conversation could come up. And what value, ask them what value they brought. And these types of conversations are more than just griping sessions and talking about what's going wrong or adding to my to-do list. But this tells me, if I'm that employee sitting across from you, it tells me that you really care about how happy I am at work. You want to know what I'm passionate about. So I would work on some trust building type questions to make these one-on-ones really great. And then open the floor. So this is where you can say, okay, we've got 5 minutes left. I'm going to open the floor. Is there anything else that you need to talk to me about? And, you know, let them talk however they need to talk freely. If they do complain about something, make sure that you're asking them, is that something that you want me to take care of? And how would you like me to take care of? How would you like me to take care of it? So sometimes people just want to get things off their chest and then they're good. Some people are telling you things for specific reasons so that you will take care of it. So if you open the floor and conversations do come up that someone's unhappy because of something, make sure you ask them what expectation they have of how you should resolve it. And so those one-on-ones are really great. I hope you find these helpful because one-on-ones really could be successful in helping your team develop, and you just have to do them right, and you have to commit to them, and you have to be in the right mindset. So now that you know what kind of meetings you should be having, how do you organize them all? So again, I have this tool I will send to you. It's one that I would always create before the year got started, and I would list out every meeting that I had so that I could keep track of it. I'm sure you have your own way of tracking your meetings, but again, being organized and being intentional with how you run your meetings and how you organize your meetings, this is just a way of doing it. I put different columns as to, you know, this is the date of my staff meetings, the date of my leadership meetings, and my one-on-ones. It's just a really great tool to keep yourself organized. So for wrap up, meetings have to happen. Make them great. It's in your energy that you put in. It's because you've come prepared, you've come with an agenda, and you've come with the right energy, and it's not just about you talking. It's about you engaging your staff. It's about you helping them find value in themselves and find passion and aligning that all to your company vision. igniting your team, showing your employees that you value them by the content of your meeting. So I always like to end with some type of action item. So I encourage you to prep your meeting calendar for the rest of 2019 if you already don't have a way of tracking your meetings. And then consider introducing the new agendas that I showed you today. I will get those emailed out today for you so you can start diving into them if you'd like. And this is my team, so if you need anything from Child Care Biz Help, feel free. We have a program called Need Another You. We would love to work with you. Just here's our contact information. And then we hope you join us next month for our next Reinvent Childcare webinar, and we'll get more information on that soon. Have a great day today, everybody. Thanks for coming. If you have questions, feel free. I will stick around. You can go ahead and use the question and answer box or the chat. I know it was a lot of information in a quick, short period of time, but that's what makes these little 30-minute Reinvent webinars really great. That's why I love them.